Hello, everybody out there on the internet. Welcome to Aimless Babble Z, episode 249.3. I'm Master, joined by.
Traptical.
So yeah, just a quick Destiny update because that's what we've been playing the past week, and I have only been playing like that's basically all I've been doing. So yeah, no news from me, and nothing really happened important, really. I don't think.
Pretty
Well, I don't
much.
know. I asked Traptical. He's like, yeah, nothing happened. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's TGS coming up this weekend, very soon. I think it starts on the 18th for. I forget if they have a closed part and then an open
Yeah, I
part,
think it's
but
like the
yeah,
press
it's
day, and then
is it
everybody.
press day? Okay, so it's really soon. Sony had another thing. Sony Asia, Sony Hong Kong had a new thing, which or in conjunction with, we got a release date for Final Fantasy Type Zero on Xbox One and PS4. That's going to be March 17th
Yeah.
next year, and comes with a demo of some sorts for Final Fantasy 15. So that's really cool. Final Fantasy 15 got a new trailer right before TGS, and then also apparently Tetsuya Nomura, the director of Final Fantasy 15, has left that project in order to focus on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Wow,
So
that's
the
crazy.
co-director, the guy who did Crisis Core, among others, he is now stepping up as full director, one director guy. Yeah, it is crazy because Nomura has been working on Final Fantasy 15 before it was called Final Fantasy 15,
Yeah.
before 13 even came out.
He,
Insane.
yeah. It's been a really long time that he's been on
Yeah.
that, and now it's Kingdom
Still
Hearts
no
time.
release date on Final Fantasy 15.
Actually, yeah, this is crazy because it's called Versus 13, and then it was supposed to come out after 13, and then it's supposed to be
Yep.
like 10 years of Final Fantasy or whatever, and then yeah, it's still in development.
I
Wow.
think it was announced alongside 13, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think, yeah.
Because it was like Final Fantasy 13 versus 13, and then Agito 13 for the cell phones or something in Japan.
Yep. And that became Type Zero.
Yeah.
And so everything is out except for Versus 13.
And then hopefully Square Enix can learn from this and change their ways going forward.
Yeah. They need to be more prolific. Too few games coming out of their RPG departments. Lots of games coming out from their IDOS acquisition. But yeah, other than that, it's been, I
Oh
think.
wait, there's the Notch thing with Microsoft. I saw
Oh
that. I was
yeah,
like, holy crap, he sold.
that was a big
He sold
thing.
it. It's like, holy crap, it was true.
The
Billions
rumor
of
that we
dollars.
talked about last week, where it was supposed to be $2 billion, it went up to 2.5 billion when the official word came out. Notch and several others will be leaving Mojang, and yeah, he basically says that he never wanted Minecraft to be this big, and if you think about it, it's sort of like he doesn't want to read comments anymore, basically, because as the head of the Minecraft community, it's like he feels like he has to read them, but it's you've seen comments on the internet, it's crazy. So he's like, "No, I'm done."
Hyperbole
He wants
everywhere.
a lot of money so he can just make small games. He apparently wrote, "If anything I'm making catches traction, I'm just gonna stop working on it."
Wow, that's
So
sad.
it is, yeah. We are losing. Actually, I don't know. People are losing a probably great developer, although none of us were really into Minecraft, so we can't speak to that personally. For Microsoft, everyone is trying to figure out why. Why did they do it? Gamma Sutra had something basically saying that the value, the $2.5 billion, that value comes from the number of people that Minecraft reaches. So Microsoft wants to monetize that audience somehow.
Good luck with that.
We'll see. A lot of people are declaring Minecraft dead. A lot of people are praying to Microsoft, please don't ruin Minecraft. Um, and then a lot of people are saying, oh, now they're going to win the console wars because they got Minecraft. speaking of that, all of the versions that are already out will be continued, uh, not discontinued. So they're going to continue supporting all of the versions that are already released. So iOS, Android, and PlayStation systems. Although there was sort of a perhaps cryptic ending to that part where they mentioned that yes, we're going to keep supporting them, but we can't, um, we can't be accountable for the decisions that other people make. So the first thing I thought of was maybe they're going to start charging those other companies to keep the game on their systems, and then it becomes a case of like, oh, we didn't take it off the system. They chose not to pay us, so they took it off the system. I don't know. But we'll see how that turns out.
I don't believe Minecraft ever came to a Nintendo platform, did it? So it's like Nintendo fans are missing out on this.
Yeah, that's true. It's pretty much. I mean, it was biggest. I think
On
it
PC.
got biggest on PC, but actually, there's been more copies sold on consoles
Oh, I
than
didn't
on
know that.
PC and Mac. But it's really born from PC, I think. Yeah. Other than that, there isn't. It's another, I guess, calm before the storm because it's coming. More and more trailers are being launched for TGS. So there was one for, I think, Battleborn just got one. Laura Shigihara, the composer for the Plants vs. Zombies soundtrack, she released a trailer for her game, Rakuen. Not a Kickstarter funded one. She funded it herself. Um, Anything else? This is sort of a weird thing. I don't know if you heard about this. Like Greg Miller from IGN and like his roommate and some friends, like they started a patron. I don't know what they call them.
Patreon.
They call them, yeah, that that thing. It's like Kickstarter, but you give money monthly, and they're making a channel called Kinda Funny, and it's basically going to be a more well-funded version of all of the side stuff that they've been doing, like outside of IGN. So some people, I don't think they really understand it because they think it's I like why isn't IGN paying for these things? Like, well, IGN doesn't pay for all of that stuff that they're doing on the side. Like a lot of that stuff has nothing to do with games. I just I think it's interesting. They're like they're branching out into doing other stuff, and it's like, yeah, I makes sense. Like if you're an internet celebrity, you can probably make more than the salary that you get from wherever it is that you work, which is like a constant fixed flow type deal. You don't get bonuses for writing reviews and stuff. So that's going to be interesting to see. And especially, and I hate to mention it, they're the weird conspiracy that doesn't really exist thing that's happening in games right now. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction here because they're calling for like, oh, more professionalism from game journalists, and yet you got game journalists branching out into doing non-game stuff. It's like, are they not focused enough? Blah blah blah, blah whatever. I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, we went through the news first because Destiny is all we've been playing.
Yep.
uh So I'm level 25. I actually dropped to 24 for a little while because I've started resorting to, if I see that I'll get a little bit more armor if I upgrade a lower armor piece up to full, then I take off the better armor that I'm wearing so that I can upgrade lower armor and get like just the tiny bit more light to get my level up. So I am slightly more into 25 than I was yesterday. But it's getting sort of it's becoming sort of a slog.
Yeah, it's like it's reaching the. It's like you realize you're in an MMO and you look around and you're like, well, what do I do now? I just go around and get items to craft better armor because there's nothing else to do. Dot dot dot. So
Pretty much.
it's like it's so weird. I feel like I feel like I'm in a hamster wheel of like I know what I need to do. I know what I need to get there, but it's just because of the randomness of the loot drops. It's just that's the one that kills me. It's like I need ascendant shards and
Yeah.
ascendant energy, and you can only get those from public events, or I'm guessing maybe a like random drop on a strike. But it's like, dude, I'm burnt out on strikes. I'm not burnt out on strikes. It's like I'm done chasing the dragon on strikes of like just I don't need to do them anymore because I got full legendary gear. So it's like whatever, dude. Like I don't. There's like no need to do them because the stuff I get from them isn't going to be. I mean, yeah, I could get an exotic, but like, dude, the chances I've played how many and I've gotten how many? Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So I've gotten one exotic chess piece from my Titan, and that wasn't even the class I was playing at the time. What the f? Whatever. So yeah, and I've like looked at my time, like over 48 hours in this game, and you know what? Whatever. Just I'm ready for more story content because even though I know it's probably not going to get better, that's what I'm looking forward to because PvP. Go with yourself. Still not going to play you.
So
And the raid
review
content came
wise,
out and we got destroyed. So yeah, that too.
yes, we got destroyed. It
And then I
was
realized, oh, there's a lot of metagame here. Let me go through the top to bottom, stem to stern, and just look at my characters and make sure I'm doing this right.
Oh yeah, I did that too. I started thinking about like, oh, I should have had because I have these skills on the Titan, even with my subclass with the shield one, defender. There are skills that generate light. So there's one, what's it called? Force barrier, I think. So every time I use my disintegrate punch and it kills someone, then every melee attack after that generates light. And I was like, oh, that would be super useful because then, if I have like a hunter around or something, hunter's special ability is their super is insane. And so I was just like, that would be really useful and we'd be able to kill stuff really quickly.
That's the other weird thing.
But
Is like if you have abilities
yeah.
that generate light and you're playing alone, it doesn't do anything for you. So you have to like change your setup temporarily.
Yeah. Because that's why I realized afterwards that I had my defender set up for Crucible because Crucible is the fastest way for me to level up right now. And as far as gear drops, I've always gotten better stuff in Crucible. Granted, I've been playing more Crucible, so it might be skewed. Yeah, I haven't played nearly as many strikes as you have. um, but yeah, all my Crucible gear says that yeah, this was earned in the Crucible as the description. And I look at it as like, well, yep, it's definitely better than everything else I've picked up in story and strikes and all the single player or PvE stuff. So I'm gonna keep doing this. Plus, I'm finally rank 2 in my cult, so I can buy armor from them. Legendary armor.
It's like so interesting. This game to me is like I mean last week I might have been a bit down on the story or whatever that I mean I was like a bit down on the story. Everything else is cool, but like now it's like whatever. Story doesn't matter apparently because it's like you're in for the long haul because it's like I just basically was like looking through I basically took everything I learned and was like okay, the warlock will be like the patient X. And then from him and my mistakes or my knowledge gained from him, I'll be able to just attribute it to better hunter and Titan experience and like whatever, man. So it's like, yeah, I have like, and then, but it's so weird. It's like, on the surface, it seems like if like like I said last week, I saw a lot of people probably like dinging it for being repetitive or whatever. Like you can like say what you will, but there's like so much depth there because it's like you have the builds of your character of like you can have it this way, have it that way. Like I have an ability to where my grenades, I think it's my grenades. If I kill stuff with them, they generate light. Whereas I have a melee ability called I forgot what it's called, Vortex. It's whatever the Warlock's melee ability. I keep forgetting what it's called. But like you can have it very like it's cool. You can have like different versions of every ability essentially. So you have like a grenade ability, super ability, and melee ability. And so for like my Warlock, my subclass, it's like super defensive, and then it's also very defensive, or you can set it to be very defensive in your main class, but it's like one of them, it gets you like your flame shield, which is, it helps you basically just be protective and have like a second shield, a layer of armor. and like while you're in a firefight, if it's charged up all the way and you use it, and then the main class one is like the drain or energy drain, whatever it's called, and you use that, and like if you kill an enemy while you use it, it basically replenishes your health fully. That's the third upgrade. I haven't got it yet, but then
Oh.
the second upgrade is like it refills your health. I think it's like greatly or whatever, so it fills it back up a lot. So you can basically just go in and be really offensive, which is what I've been using. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's just there's like so many, there's like so much depth to like every class and like all the abilities and like having them all set, however, to get your
Hmm.
like character in order. And then after that, there's the whole gear of like, okay, well, my passive ability on this gear is more pulse rifle ammo or more grenade or whatever cooldown. So, because like when you get to the level 3 and you can buy weapons and armor, and you're looking at like there's two sets of armor and it's like they both look the same stats wise. However, if you look at the passives, they're both very
Yeah.
different. So you have to like know what you're doing before you go in to like pick something and make sure it fits your playstyle or like how you're going to be playing, or you could be sabotaging yourself and not knowing it.
So I haven't played the other classes, but would you say that the main classes tend to be more typical of what you would expect from a shooter, whereas the second, like the first subclass, is more um like not that way because
I
or
think
like
so.
atypical because
I
like
think so because
defender,
yeah,
yeah,
because it seems like
or like with the Titan, it was very like, oh, you get better punching and now you have a shoulder charge and you like it's like teleport knifing and it's really cool. And then you have like that Titan uh, ground pound, I guess is what it looks like. But then when you switch to defender, at first I was just I have no idea how to use any of this stuff. I can put up a shield, but then we're just sitting in here until the shield dies and then they're gonna kill us. And it took a long time to figure out. I was like, oh, this. There's a version of the shield that gives everyone over shields inside of the shield. So first, people can't shoot into the shield, and then if they come in and try to melee you, you have way more health than they do inside of the shield. And that's what I started doing that in Crucible, where I just put the shield on the flag, and people would shoot at me a little while, and then they sort of wait, and then they think, I know, I'll just run in there and throw a grenade. And they throw the grenade, and it basically does nothing because I have an overshield over my shield already, and we just start punching each other. It's like, you're not gonna win in here. Like, this is my town. And so I started doing that in PvE too. And yeah, so like once you get into the subclass, like, oh, there's interesting stuff that's happening here, and if you combine it right, you can do really cool things.
yeah, it's like I had my flame shield, and like you have an ability to where if your supercharge is up, essentially the supercharge on the warlock, the subclass, it basically buffs all your normal abilities like your grenade, your melee, well, your super isn't the vortex anymore or the fireball anymore, so it's like not that, but like everything else, or yeah, so your melee and your grenade basically like super awesome, and so you have your flame shield as well, so it's basically like you get better defense with that, you get better offense with your melee, and then your grenades are just really crazy and just like they are insane when you get that Sunsinger grenade like upgrade, and it's just damage over time and damage per second, and like if you stack it right with the other abilities, it can just
Yeah,
murder stuff like nothing. It's
it
so
looks
awesome,
really cool.
and it looks cool visually. It's just like wow,
It's
there's,
just like
solar flares
fire
going off.
everywhere.
Yeah, but
Huh, that's yeah, it's see, the thing about Destiny for me right now is every time I think about it, I'm always thinking about what other people have said, and I just want to be like, well, what about this thing? Because there was one article was basically saying, yeah, it's basically Diablo or any other MMO except that your combat, like the combat variety, is a lot more limited. And so they're pointing basically to World of Warcraft. It's like, oh, you have all these different skills that you can use in combat. And when I think about that, I was like, well, that's not really true. I mean, first of all, yeah, there's the subclass thing, and you end up with really interesting options there. And then I don't know why people don't really think of first-person shooter combat as. I mean, it's happening very rapidly, so maybe it doesn't seem like you have a lot of options, but actually you do have a lot of options. You even the hover jump thing is sort of that's an option in combat, but it's a very different type of combat than say World of Warcraft.
Actually, speaking of hover
And,
jump, you get this really awesome ability with the Sunsinger called Angel of Light, and when you double
mm,
jump, you can basically hover for a couple of seconds mid double jump while you iron sight or like scope in on an enemy, and like you'll just hover there. So it's like you can. It's just really awesome. It's like no other game I don't think has done that before. Where it's like you're in the middle of a double jump, and it's like, oh, hold up, let me just aim here and just. It's like so. It's like you just pause in the middle of a double jump, just like it's awesome. Just like wow, that was just. It feels so good every time I do it.
have you
I love that
seen it
ability.
from the third person?
No.
It's like you have these flaming wings
Oh,
and you're
okay.
just flying in midair. It's like,
That is
oh,
awesome.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's the other thing, dude. Is like as I've been like just cracking out on this game, it's just like pouring over each layer of it. Is yeah, there's a spider on the floor, but I'll be good. I should be good if it doesn't come too near me. But like everything in the game just like looks amazing. All the assets of like all the armor sets and all the
hmm
guns and just it all just like comes together when you're equipping it, and then like when you put the shaders on, they all look good. So it's like man,
Yeah.
the art team on this game is just amazing. It's
That's
just like
why
the
I
art
feel like
direction.
the reviews are just they feel off base to me. Um the example that I read somewhere today was basically it's as if you had taken The Walking Dead and only rated episode 1 and just like you judged the entire Walking Dead from Telltale based on episode 1.
Yeah, and then like after the raid content is just like the amount of craziness that they can do with just we couldn't even get through like the first door essentially.
Yeah.
So we don't even we don't even know like what's beyond it. But like what they've done with like the mechanics of hold the position and like enemies coming towards you to make it just such a prolonged battle. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And like fill the spire. So there's like so much more going on than just like shoot the dudes in the face.
Yeah. So I despite what everyone says, I continue to have faith in Destiny. It seems like yeah, okay, the even the story part, I don't think the story was that bad because it's not there was basically no story yet. This this was just the
Yeah, it's like
intro.
chapter
It's like
one.
yeah, it's like they introduced the Fallen and then they introduced you in the speaker and then they introduced the Fallen and then they introduced the Vex and then they introduced
The Cabal.
whatever it was that they were worshiping there on Mars. And yeah, I guess the Cabal got introduced
It's
there. And
actually interesting. Like if you look at some of the descriptions on the Cabal, it seems like they're from another part of the galaxy, and they're just like this empirical force that's like
yeah,
just happened to like stumble into our galaxy, and they're like just setting up shop on Mars. It's pretty funny.
yep.
So I was like looking at that. I was like, wait, so they're not even from they're not affiliated with the dark. They're just like, oh, here's a planet, let's take it, Mars. It's ours.
And it's just yeah, it ends and like I don't think you can even say that that was an ending. It was clearly the beginning of something. So for me, the story is more sort of an atmospheric thing. Like they introduced characters and then they introduced a world and then they just sort of left it open. And so we're gonna see more of it later, I imagine. A 10-year game. I mean, they're probably gonna do something. I mean, if it had ended any other way, it may have felt like, oh, well, I'm done. I've had my fill, and now I'm just doing extra stuff to play with the game. Whereas this way, ending it this way means like you really do feel like, oh, this wasn't the ending of the story. So the story continues. And so you're still invested in the story. Whereas if the story just ended, then you would, it possibly would have lost people. It's like, yeah, I have finished the story of Destiny, and everything else is just a sequel or an expansion of it. It kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed, actually. The response to Destiny. A lot of people like you like the first one because of the mechanics, right?
Yeah.
And I hated it because of like yeah, because of the narrative. It was just and also the mission structure. And so Destiny, like a lot of people dislike it because of the mission structure and the story, but a lot of people like it because of the mechanics.
That's interesting. And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Pumping them out every year. Now
Yep.
more than one. Oh, now they work for
See,
Guitar Hero
Destiny's
and
going to do that
Tony Hawk.
too, except that instead of sequels, it's going to be expansions to the main game. And I think that's really cool. Because that's what they did. Like they Assassin's Creed, they got down really cool mechanics And I agreed, like the mechanics were really good, but it didn't feel like that could carry the game. Destiny, the mechanics, well, having the multiplayer helps a lot. Like it can carry the game, I think.
Yeah, and then like there's just so much cool like or just like the little moments you'll have when you're like, you're using the emotes with people and like waving to them and then wave back, or you're dancing with them after like a boss fight. It's like, yeah, that never gets old.
I point at people a lot. It's like, oh, it was all you.
I was wondering why people would point at me. I was like, isn't that considered rude in Western culture? Why would you point at me?
It's yeah, it's all you.
But yeah, it's just so fun to like just jump into a public event when there's like one other person there and like or like
Yep.
save them and like, yeah, we got this. It's like you can't hear me, but we're totally here.
The dancing is fun.
But yeah, I
Um,
mostly went from like having a love hate to mostly loving it and less hating it, just because I can like see the potential every time I look at the like look under the hood of like, oh, okay, well, I see what they're
yeah.
trying to do here and this makes sense. Like, yeah, they limit your like weekly or Vanguard marks and whatever, but at the end of the
I,
day,
I think it makes sense. I think, yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen in a year. I think in a year, there's going to be a lot of Destiny Revisited type reviews if they care to do something like that, because I don't think it's going to be the same game in a year. Eventually, I imagine the Vanguard limits per week will go up because there'll just be more content. All the barriers right now they really feel like they're there to slow players down because you can never make content faster than people can consume it. And so, arbitrary roadblocks like that keeps people from consuming all the content. And then finally, the raid came out, and now, in a way, that's also arbitrary roadblocks. Like you need certain
yeah,
gear
it's
to
it's
get
so
it,
it's
and
like
to
it's so
get
cool
it,
because like you're like still sitting there at like level 20 or like level 20 and higher, and like, okay, what do I do now? And then that comes out and it's like, dude, I am not ready, and it's like,
yeah,
there you go.
I'm not ready.
And
That part is pretty neat, and I that part is sort of strange because it does feel like in the beginning when you start the game, it feels like you're very limited in your choices of what to do. And even when you reach level 20, you're still sort of there aren't a lot of things to do. But then after you get to and this may have been server errors, like maybe the messages were supposed to come up earlier, but after you reach a certain level, it starts unlocking lots of different stuff. So like the daily heroic story missions, the weekly strikes, the weekly nightfall strikes for level 28. And so you start seeing those things, and it's like, oh, then you have a goal to shoot for. So we were all shooting for the raid, level 26. And, actually, the raid kind of broke me. Like, after we played that for an hour and got nowhere, I started thinking, well, now what? I was going for 26, but now I feel like even if I reach 26, it's not really going to help. Like, we need a really good
see,
team.
it's interesting you said that, Charlie, because like for me, it opened my eyes of like clearly I just need to I need to like have myself geared out to where this is so below me I can just breeze through it. And yes, it will take time, but I will get there.
Yeah, for me, it was just like, well, okay, I understand I need to be more powerful than I am now. But to get there, like, I'm not really sure what I have to do. I have to get all legendaries, but then looking at the legendaries, like, wow, upgrading these things is going to take a long time. I need something like 60, 64, 66 helium filaments just to upgrade my armor to the point where I can't upgrade it with just helium filaments.
But see, that's like
And
the secret
yeah,
sauce to
it's
me is because like as I was like looking at all that stuff, it like the gears in my head were turning. Well, like as you do essentially anything in the game, you're always gaining progress towards something. So
I
it's
guess
like
that's
I will
true.
always be doing something to do whatever. Because like right now I'm trying to get the ascendant shards, which are only available through public events. And then while I'm doing that, I'm doing the patrol missions, which get you Vanguard rep. So it's like as that levels up, every time it dings, you get a legendary item. It might be a legendary item. It's a legendary Ingram. It could be anything. So it's like you get those, and then as I'm getting that, I'm getting the loot drops from enemies. I'm getting rare Ingrams to turn into the Cryptarch because I guess like once you get high enough level, you just don't get the uncommon common ones, they're just unencrypted automatically, so I get
Oh.
the rare ones. But I'm like level 8 on that, so it's ridiculous anyway. It's like I had a really crazy story when like I hit the like glimmer limit of like 25,000. I was like whatever. So I guess I'm just I see those barriers when you put in place. I'm like, oh, they're here for me. It's like a seatbelt. It's like no taken. You don't crack out too hard, or you'll lose all the fun of the game that's yet to come 10 years from now. So it's like it's like okay, I see what you're doing. So now I just like went back to like just craft everything for all my stuff, and it's like, I see what you're doing. But then it's like, as I'm playing, it's like, oh well, every time as I'm doing stuff, it's like, well, I'm always making progress, so therefore I feel like I can just do multiple things at the same time, and then always be making more progress than just like doing one thing at a time, and just be more efficient and multitask. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think yesterday after it broke me, and then I was like playing with you guys, and then my internet died. But before that, I was just wandering around and looking at the environment itself. And it was like, oh, a waterfall here. It's like, oh, there's got to be a cave behind it. And I was like, there's no cave here. I was like, really? It's so weird. And yeah, I was just walking around being a tourist essentially.
I had a moment where I was like admiring the environment too. I was on Mars, and the sun was setting or rising. I don't remember, but I just saw like the shadow creeping. It was either up or down as it rose or set, but it looked amazing. Like I said, like just the environments are just. I was just like, wow, this game looks so good, and it's
Yeah.
probably on the stream. I was gushing all over it, and it's just it's so good.
It's really nice.
And it was funny. I was playing with the gamer, and like we were up really late. And it was like he made one of his comments, but it was like the opposite of what he usually says. He's like, "I gotta say, this is one of the best looking games. Like none of these textures look like crap." And I just started laughing. I was like, "Gamer, that's totally something you would say, but not. It's usually the other way around." I haven't seen one bad texture. It was hilarious. I need to go back through my stream and make a highlight of that because it was great.
So yeah, that's the update from Destiny.
Week 1 down. Start of week 2.
Yep. So now we know that we've learned a lot. So we know that the marks, the 100 mark limit for each the Crucible and Vanguard resets on Tuesdays. The next event is coming on I think it's this weekend. It's the oh wait, no, it's the Queen's Bounty thing is 2 weeks long. It starts, I think, September 23rd.
That's crazy.
And goes until October 7th. And during that time, there'll be bounties that you can get from the Queen, and we won't say who that is. And so there'll be like different rewards for that. And I guess the other stuff Tekken doesn't care about, so we won't mention here either. But it's Crucible things. You can check them out, Bungie.net, which is an amazing website, actually.
I'm looking at it right now. Combined Arms, then Queen's Wrath, and then Iron Banner in October.
Yep. I'm looking forward to Iron Banner, actually. I want to see... Oh, man. I don't know what that's going to be like, because there's no level advantages in the regular playlist, but Iron Banner has level advantages. So... yeah, every time I see a level 27, I'm just going to run.
But if you think about it, Traptical, if it's not based on stats on your level, it would just be gear. So maybe they don't have awesome weapons; they just have really awesome armor, which is how they get the light points to have a higher level.
Oh, yes, that's true. Maybe.
Because most of the light gear actually has a lower defense than, or not lower defense, but it doesn't seem like, because there's like a piece of armor you get at the end, and it like has like really awesome armor, but then like when you get your first light piece, it's like, huh, really? Because it's like lower defense than your awesome armor, but whatever. I guess like you were talking about earlier, how you had like decreased your level so you could have a bit more defense or whatever.
Yeah. Or it was like that level 27 guy with the exotic handgun that we saw, the hand cannon. Most of his stuff was not really that leveled yet. So you could see there was a huge discrepancy between what his armor was and what it could be. The numbers on him.
Yeah, it's another cool thing is like when you run across someone in the tower or in the world and they have like this awesome thing and you inspect them and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Look at that stuff. I want
Where do I get that?
It's always ridiculous.
Well, I'm hoping to see one of these exotic quests that I hear about from Gamer and Tekken, who have both gotten them. And since I'm okay with Crucible, I will definitely get it. And then otherwise, I've gotten quite a few strange coins by now. So waiting
Yeah,
for
I checked
the
mine today on my Warlock. I have like enough to get the thingy from the vendor dude when he shows
yeah,
back up.
I'm waiting for that guy to show back up. I wonder why he showed up. Like it seems like yeah, they Bungie understands that there is a group of people out there
Oh, that's
who
a good
are
point, Tropical. It's like, he shows up and then you see like, if I have enough of these, and like you're wondering like what to do. Well, it's these like I could like these. Yeah, it's like at least there's that other thing over there. I can get like the strange
yeah.
coins for this guy when he does show up to get these sweet exotics.
But yeah, they're adjusting. They're releasing stuff at a pace that seems to satisfy, I guess, the the people who are cracking out even more than Tekken is. Because people have beaten that raid. It took them 14 hours, or it was like 14 hours after the raid started, and they died a cumulative almost 300 times.
Yeah, it's very
And
ridiculous.
yeah, that well, as we said, we could not even get in the door. It's crazy. Um, okay, I don't know. Is there anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Then we return.
All right, so yeah, until next week, or until you see or hear from us again.
Will we beat the raid?
Will
No.
we get an exotic item?
Hopefully.
Will Will something else crazy happen in Destiny? Who knows? Find out on the next episode of Aimless Babble. Z Z Z Z Z.